In the quiet chambers of my heart, where moonlit secrets drift like pale ribbons on a silver tide, I feel your presence as a gentle pulse that steadies every uncertain beat within me. Though I stand shaped by duty and the delicate weight of my lineage, it is your nearness that teaches me how courage can be soft, how strength can wear the color of tenderness. When I think of you, a warmth unfurls along the borders of my thoughts, brushing aside the solemn echoes that have long guarded my solitude. I imagine my words traveling to you the way a small boat crosses a calm inlet, slow, steady, guided by an instinct older than any crown. And in that imagined crossing, I confess the quiet truth that stirs beneath my composure. Loving you feels like discovering a forgotten melody in the corridors of my own soul, a music I never knew I carried. It rises gently, yet with an undeniable certainty, reminding me that even at a heart trained for silence can learn to bloom when it is finally seen, finally known, finally held in a gaze that feels like home. Sometimes I walk alone along the gardens where dusk settles like a soft shawl across my shoulders, and I whisper your name to the roses that climb along the walls. They respond with petals trembling faintly, as if the mere sound awakens something they too have longed to speak. In that quiet companionship of flowers and fading light, I allow myself the freedom to imagine what it would be like to share these pathways with you, your steps beside mine, your laughter scattering across the stones like a handful of bright, delicate jewels. I imagine you pausing to brush your fingers along the ivy, telling me some gentle truth I would treasure long after your voice faded from the air. And though the world expects poise from me, expects composure polished to a shine, I let myself drift into this vision of us, unburdened, unguarded. For in these twilight wanderings, I feel the truth of love, not as a fleeting shimmer, but as a steady warmth curling around my spirit, urging me to trust that the heart, when brave, can rewrite even the longest destiny with a single softened breath. When night settles fully, and the sky folds itself into a deep, velvety hush, pierced only by the shimmer of distant stars, I lie awake and think of how love moves through me now, quiet yet unstoppable, like a tide drawn by unseen moons. I feel your influence in the gentlest places, the corners of my thoughts where no one else has ever reached. And as I breathe in the tender darkness, I recognize the way you've rewritten the architecture of my inner world, replacing old fears with delicate certainties. I imagine your hand brushing mine, a contact so simple yet capable of grounding every part of me. I imagine the way our voices might weave together, not in grand declarations, but in the soft confessions shared between two hearts, learning the rhythm of each other's quietest truths. And though I am taught to guard emotion like a treasured artifact, with you I feel an unfamiliar freedom, a willingness to trust that I can be both a figure shaped by history and a girl who longs simply to be loved for her gentleness, her sincerity, her unadorned, secret hope. Sometimes I wonder if love was always meant to arrive this way, soft at first, then unmistakable, threading itself through every breath until it becomes as natural as the pulse beneath my skin. With each passing day, I discover new ways your presence lives within me. In the sudden lift of my spirit at the memory of your smile, in the way my thoughts wander toward you without permission, seeking comfort in the simplicity of imagining us together. I have known expectations that tower like ancient stone walls, but loving you makes those walls feel less confining, as if ivy has begun to climb them, and sunlight has found its way through narrow slits. You teach me, without ever trying, that vulnerability is not weakness, but a kind of quiet bravery, and in that lesson I find myself softening, unfolding, daring to dream not as a princess, shaped by centuries of legacy, But as a young woman who has finally found someone who sees past the titles, the rituals, the formality, and toward the tender truth of who I truly am, when the world finally allows me to breathe freely, the mornings carry a different light, since thoughts of you have taken root within me. Dawn feels like a promise now, its pale gold stretching across the horizon as if offering a new beginning each day. When I rise, the quiet glow seems to whisper your name, threading it into the gentle rhythm of my waking. I picture you standing beneath that soft light, your expression warm, your eyes holding stories I want to spend a lifetime discovering. And even though my days are filled with duties that often shape my path, the thought of you lingers like a secret perfume upon my skin, reminding me that love can exist even in the most carefully ordered life. Sometimes I press my hand to my chest as if to steady the quick flutter of my heart when I imagine your fingertips brushing mine. The feeling is both exhilarating and grounding, a reminder that no matter how firmly tradition frames my world, the human heart still seeks connection, tenderness, and the quiet joy of knowing someone sees beyond the poised exterior to the longing that beats, steady and sincere, beneath every practiced breath. In the letters I never send, I write to you with a candor the world rarely hears from me. I tell you how your memory threads itself through the palace halls like a warm light that refuses to dim. I confess how my thoughts drift toward you even in the middle of official conversations, slipping past all propriety to linger on your gentleness, your steady calm. These unsent words spill from a place deep within me, a place untouched by the expectations that accompany every step I take. In them, I admit how your presence makes me feel like more than the sculpted image I must often present. With you, I imagine myself allowed to laugh too loudly, to speak without calculation, to be imperfect and still wholly loved. And though these letters remain folded within the quiet chambers of my mind, they carry the truth my heart whispers whenever the world grows too heavy, that in your imagined company I rediscover the softness I feared might fade beneath the weight of duty, and the loving onday naan, anda onzayai onday guzasriyu, and barvil in dailon feels like reclaiming a part of myself I hadn't realized was missing. Sometimes I imagine our paths crossing not in the grand settings where ceremony reigns, but in simple, unguarded moments on a quiet balcony where the night wind stirs our hair, or beside a library window where dust motes drift lazily in the amber light. In these imagined scenes, I see you turning toward me with that gentle steadiness that feels like a harbor after a long voyage. I imagine myself daring to speak the truths I usually bury beneath layers of practiced composure. I imagine your eyes softening as you listen, not because of who I am to the world, but because of who I am to you in that moment. And though these scenes exist only in my thoughts, they nurture a tender hope within me. A hope that love does not always demand grand declarations, but often blooms most fiercely in the quietest spaces, where two souls meet without expectation. In these private imaginings, I find myself trusting that love, once awakened, knows its way through any labyrinth, even one woven with tradition and expectation, until it reaches the quiet center where hearts recognize each other without hesitation. When I walk through the ancient halls of my heritage, the portraits of those who came before me gaze with solemn pride, their eyes painted with centuries-old wisdom. Remind me of the path laid out long before my first breath. Yet even as I honor their legacy, my heart drifts elsewhere to thoughts of you, to dreams stitched with tenderness rather than ceremony. I wonder what they would think of this love that has taken root in me so quietly, yet so fiercely.